In episode 7, Hanna has arrived in Barcelona and decides to change her look, going back to the darker hair and cutting it shorter. She then starts going through Mannion's phone, and there's a lot of information on Carmichael, phone calls from Marissa, a file on Eric, and then finally there's a file on Sandy and Clara. And in that file for Clara, it says who her mom is and then also gives an update. Her mom's new name and where she's living. Because the whole time, they knew that she was alive and where she is, even though they keep peddling this rhetoric that she just disappeared. Now, another person who's arrived in Barcelona is Gelder, who upon arrival has learned that Nicola Goff has been killed and it's not safe. He meets with his daughter, Kat, and explains to her that his stay isn't going to be nearly as long as he expected. He needs to leave tomorrow, and he's already checked out of the hotel. Kat doesn't realize the severity of the issue and just thinks that it's her dad blowing her off again, so she's pretty pissed off about it. But when Gelder checked out of the hotel, that's when the group at the Meadows lost his scent. And Leo gives Carmichael an update that while they've lost Gelder, they're going to try to get Sandy to go through Kat to try to find out his new location. Carmichael tells him that the most important thing is getting the briefcase. And he also sends Leo over there to make sure that the job gets done. So the Meadows group sends this information over to Sandy, who heads on over to the class that her and Kat share, but Kat isn't there. And she finds Kat sulking in her dorm room. And during this conversation about what a shitty father Robert is, Sandy is just fishing to try to find out where he is located, but Kat doesn't know. Clara, meanwhile, was hanging out with one of Kat's friends when she just had a sneaky suspicion that somebody was following her. So she ends up getting up from the table and walking down a couple of alleys, up a few flights of steps, and in this empty stadium where she finds Hanna. And Hanna gives her all of the details on what went down in London and what Utrecht is actually trying to do with this mission that they have Sandy and Clara executing. Clara brings up that she's just doing a service for her country, but Hanna reminds her that you've never even been to the United States. Hanna goes on to tell her about Gelder and the hit list and tells Clara that she needs that hit list. But Clara doesn't want to hear any of this at the moment and warns her that she needs to leave town and kind of threatens her in a way. And that's when Hanna reveals to Clara that her mother is actually alive. Now, Clara doesn't believe this because she's been rejecting this theory for a while, worried that she's just going to get her heart broken again. But Hanna reassures her that that information is true and that she'll be in touch shortly and then leaves. Clara's kind of rocked by this information and finally links up with Sandy, who's a little bit pissed because she feels like Clara's been blowing her off all day on these messages that they need to execute the mission faster than they thought. They thought they had 3 days, they actually have 1 because Gelder's checked out and they need to find him. Sandy also tells her that Leo is coming to support the mission, which is weird. And when Clara asks why he's doing that, Sandy reveals that while she doesn't know, she feels like something's wrong. As Sandy is leaving the library, she gets seen by Hanna, who is in the dorm trying to locate Kat, but the security guard at the front desk isn't willing to give up the information. But when Hanna sees Sandy leaving, she feels like Sandy's going to lead her to Kat, and that's exactly what she does. And Sandy links up with Kat and is trying to convince her to go meet with her father. And eventually Kat gives in, contacting her dad to meet for lunch. So as soon as Sandy finds out that Kat and her dad are going to meet up, she lets Terry in the Meadows know. And Terry goes up to let Carmichael know, but overhears a conversation that Carmichael is having with his higher-ups, where Carmichael reveals that while he doesn't know how Tacitus came upon this information, he will find him and he will get the information, reassuring his bosses the entire time not to worry. He's even sent Leo over there to make sure the job gets done. So she kind of walks into this private conversation, but she lets Carmichael know about the lunch, and he tells her good, but now this time, make sure he doesn't get away. And after the library meeting, Clara headed back to her apartment where one of her neighbors gives her a note saying, hey, your friend left this, and obviously the friend is Hanna. And upon opening it, it's all of the information on her mother. So Clara heads on over to the computer and starts Googling this information and finds a website that does show a picture of her mother. And she decides to sign up for a fake email address and email her mom that she is, quote, interested in her services just to see if she can get a response. Now, Robert Gelder is walking over to meet his daughter for lunch, but he calls someone named Alda. And then he gives Alda instructions on what he's going to do with the briefcase and the documents. He's first to arrive at lunch, but when Kat arrives, he's a little bit annoyed because right behind Kat is Sandy, and he told Kat to come alone. Sandy lets him know that she's not staying. She just wanted to meet him because she heard so much about him, and then she exits the restaurant and is waiting in the street. And she's waiting in the street because she's supposed to meet Clara there, but Clara is nowhere to be found, having her world rocked because her mother might be alive. So Sandy calls her up wondering where she is, and Clara lets her know, I'm on my way. And in that lunch, Gelder tells Kat the severity of the situation, that he's in some deep shit, and that he never meant for her to be wrapped up in it, but unfortunately she is. So he's not the only one leaving that night, because he's booked a plane ticket for her to leave as well. It's no longer safe for her to be in Barcelona, and she does not take too kindly to this, vowing to not leave with him and storms out of the restaurant. And when she does so, she sees Sandy waiting for her in the street, and Sandy tells her, well, I just wanted to make sure the lunch went okay, and the two go off. When in reality, Sandy was instructing Clara that her role in this is to follow Gelder back to his hotel room and shoot him. But when Clara goes to do that, Hanna cuts her off, telling her that she doesn't need to do this, and also reminding her that her mother is alive and the people that she's working for never told her. They lied to her. Clara tells her that Sandy's going to find out where this guy is staying, and Leo is flying over. No matter how much Hanna wants to stop this, she's not going to be able to. But Hanna says, I have to try, because that is what Eric trained me for. Eric trained me to stop these people. I need to stop her, Clara. Where did she take Kat? And Sandy took Kat back to her dorm room, where Clara ends up texting Sandy, hey, I'm sorry, I lost Gelder. So Sandy has to pivot, trying to get Kat to reunite with her dad once again so they can be on his tracks. But all that Kat is thinking about is going out, partying it up, and getting drunk and forgetting about the shitty lunch she just had. So the two girls get dressed up and leave for a club, and they're followed by Hanna. And at the club, Sandy is able to steal Kat's cell phone and find out the hotel that her dad is staying at. And while she's doing this, Hanna feels like it's a good time to swoop in and try to save Kat. She introduces herself but says, we gotta get out of here. I'm here to save your dad's life and you were in danger. But Kat basically tells her to piss off. So Hanna tries another approach, saying, yeah, the girl you're hanging out with, Sandy Phillips, she says she's from Ohio, right? She's never even been to Ohio. Oh, by the way, she stole your cell phone. And sure enough, when Kat goes to check her cell phone, it's not there. But even after all of that, Kat's a little suspicious. So Hanna says, here, take that item right there and go up to her and say, oh, hey, have you heard of this school that's in your hometown? And when she pretends like she knows what you're talking about, then you'll know that she's lying. So Kat walks up to Sandy and says, oh, hey, by the way, there's a couple of Americans over there that are from your hometown in Ohio. They went to bumfuck school. Have you heard of it? And just like Hanna said, Sandy plays it off like she's heard of it, like she's been there, like she's familiar with it, and that's when Kat knows she is in deep shit. So she's able to lose Sandy, get in a cab, and head back to her dorm room to try to get her passport. And she's followed back to her dorm room by Hanna. And even though she lost Sandy, Sandy has her dad's information and ends up letting Leo, along with everybody at the Meadows, know where Gelder is located. And in Gelder's hotel room, he's realized that he can't just continue to have this briefcase on him. It's too dangerous. So he sets it up with the front desk that he will leave the briefcase along with the documents there to be picked up by Alda the next day, hopefully when he is long gone from Barcelona. Unfortunately for Gelder, he's unaware that Clara has shown up, and Sandy is in the hotel lobby, along with Leo. And all of this is being watched by Terry and Carmichael back at the Meadows. We're able to get patched into the security camera footage in Barcelona. And Clara gets a room key where in the room there's a maid's outfit that she can use to try to get into Gelder's room and kill him. And right as she's about to convince him to open the door to let her, quote, refill the soaps, that's when Kat shows up, and it kind of throws a wrench in things. But it also gives Clara and Sandy enough time to talk. And Sandy lets Clara know that the new plan is not just to kill Gelder, but to kill Kat as well. So just as Kat and Gelder are about to get out of there, Sandy and Clara burst through the door and hold them there at gunpoint, demanding to know where the briefcase is located. But Gelder says, I don't have it. It's not on me. And Sandy, who is getting visibly frustrated, finally says, you know what, Clara, kill him. We'll find the briefcase later. But Clara can't bring herself to do it. So Sandy grabs the gun, and just as she's about to kill Gelder, that's when Hanna comes bursting through the door. A little bit of a shootout ensues, but it's broken up when Sandy is able to lock herself into the bedroom along with Gelder, who she just shot in the arm. And for whatever reason, Hanna, who has seemingly forgotten about Gelder entirely, has a gun pointed at Clara. And Clara reminds her that I could have killed that guy, but I didn't. And that's when Hanna, Clara, and Kat hear a gunshot go off. And when they open the door, there is Robert Gelder's dead body lying on the bed, and Sandy is nowhere to be found. And Kat is inconsolable, crying over her dad's dead body, and Hanna gets flashbacks of when Eric died in her arms. But Hanna is able to get it together and tells Kat, if you want to live, you will come with us right now. Now, I'm sure you're wondering where Marissa Viegler is in all this. She was taken from that black site to be executed in another location. And while they're traveling there, she's telling the guys, you don't need to do this. But then all of a sudden, the entire caravan is shot up, and the caravan flips over. And when Marissa gets out, there's a woman there waiting for her that lets her know, we told you if you waited long enough, we would get you out. But Marissa has no idea who this woman is. And the woman lets her know that she was working with Stephen Mannion's group. And unfortunately, Stephen is dead. The woman informs Marissa about the Pioneer group, and this is the first time Marissa is hearing about this, and how Carmichael is a part of it. And they're about to unleash their newest weapon, Utrex. She then shows Marissa an iPad with Gelder's picture on it, and lets Marissa know Gelder's role in this whole thing. And on the same iPad, there is a security camera picture of Hanna. And the woman tells Marissa that they need to find Hanna and they need to find Gelder's documents with the hit list, and they want Marissa to help them do that. Oh, and then there's Carmichael, who was lying the entire time. He told Leo that he knew about Gelder's name but had never met him. No, he met him. He shared a drink with him. They had a conversation. He was well aware of who Robert Gelder was. Thank you for watching this recap. If you do not see the next one up in the corner right there on the end screen, don't worry, it'll be up shortly. Please consider following the channel. That'd be cool. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you don't, there's a thumbs down button for a reason.